What's up, guys? Brad Gelber here. We're backstage at the Team West Herr appreciation event. We bumped into our good friend, Josh Allen. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brad. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
So last time we talked was at the Team West Herr shoot, so a little while ago, and we talked about kind of the off season leading up to what you had planned. So how did it go? Because I know we're kind of through your off season now. So
it went well. OTAs were a blast. Got to obviously be around a lot of new teammates, get to know them, throw with them obviously. Then we have like that month and a half off where it's a lot of travel. Again, met with the receivers, tight ends, and running backs. Got some more work in, but I was golfing in a few different spots. I had a couple weddings to attend to in Cabo and Nashville. Mm-hmm. And then I had the tournament at the end of the off season in Tahoe, the American Century, which was a freaking blast.
Yep. So I did want to ask you, because obviously Dawson Knox, Team West Herr guy. So I know a bunch of you went out there for his wedding. That looked like it was a pretty fun time.
Absolutely. So happy for him and Alex. Team West Herr was there in support.
Yeah, you and Dion both there.
We love Dawson Knox, and you could tell how much teammates love a guy based on how many teammates show up, and he had a lot of teammates show up, and he's
past teammates too, right?
And past teammates, that's right. He's one of the most amazing human beings you'll ever meet, and I love the guy, and just happy I could be there for that special day.
For sure. I was obligated to ask you a question about golf from Matt last year. So, you mentioned a golf tournament you played in. Did you get to play as much golf as you'd like this off season? Was it a little bit limited? How did that go?
Yeah, I think if I could have played more, I would have. Sure. But I definitely got enough golf in. It's still not to where I want to be score-wise. I got down to right around a 3 handicap, which is pretty good, but with the amount of time I'm playing, I feel like I should be scoring better. So hopefully next off season, hopefully we'll be celebrating after February. That's the goal. That's the plan. Lock in and get some real lessons and try to get that handicap a little lower.
For sure. At the Masters, I think they got that clip of you where they kind of approached you on the side there, and it kind of was all over social media. But it seemed like you had a blast there.
Oh, it's freaking awesome. Yeah. I think it's the greatest sporting event in the world. Nobody's got their phones in there, so people are just actually talking, having a good time. You feel like you can kind of let your hair down a little bit in a sense, and got to hang out with some good people this year too.
Cool. One thing I did want to ask you, because you're in training camp right now for people watching, listening. What do you like? Do you like about training camp, right? Because so during the pandemic, I know you guys were actually at the stadium, which was a little different. But all these other years, I think throughout your whole career, you've been at St. John Fisher in Rochester. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to training camp, I know some guys like different things. Do you like the vibe of being on campus with the guys and having to stay in the dorms, or do you prefer the actually being at the stadium?
I love camp. I love you're with your teammates every second you're awake, really, and building that team chemistry and that camaraderie. I think that St. John Fisher does such a good job in their cafeteria as well. Their food's fantastic, where guys are happy with what we're eating, which is a huge part of how happy a team could be. If you're sitting there eating crappy food all day, you're going to be pretty pissed off. So they do a good job with feeding us. I think our schedule is pretty team-friendly, player-friendly, I should say. Gives us adequate time to rest, recover, get into the training room, and fix the ailments that we may have going on, but also gives us a lot of chance to hang out with each other.
Sure. For people that don't know kind of the logistics behind training camp, though, you guys are legit in the student dorms. Are you sleeping in the actual double twin beds and everything, and using the bathrooms and everything?
Yeah, we have our own dorm rooms where I'm sure some people do double up. They take both the twin beds, put them together, and they put a different mattress. So at least we get a normal sized mattress. But curfew at 10:30. So lights out at 10:30, and you wake up around, depending on if you want to work out in the morning, you could wake up at 6 in the morning, or you could wake up around 7:30. First meeting at 8:30, and then you're not done till right around 7:15, 7:30 at night.
One thing too with training camp, I think they showed yesterday at the scrimmage at the stadium, it's your infamous time that you wear your helmet with the visor, kind of the alternate helmet. Do you have a favorite that you've worn so far? The black one was pretty cool yesterday.
Yeah,
but I know you've done the red. I think the
blue.
Yep.
The black probably doesn't go with our jerseys
Sure.
enough, our color combination, but I think that was probably the cleanest look.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty dang cool.
Yeah. If you could wear a visor like in the regular season, would you do it?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I could if I
Okay.
wanted to.
I didn't know if it was against kind of like the
No,
rules or anything
there's
like
certain
that.
like tint that you can't go past,
Okay.
which I wouldn't wear that anyways. I feel like that could affect a quarterback's
Sure,
vision a little
sure.
bit. I wore visor in college, which was fine, but I got to this level and I was just like, I don't feel like we're in uniform. In college, you have a chance to have a little bit more
Yeah.
swag, if
Yep.
you will.
Yep.
Where in the NFL, everyone kind of dresses the same, and if you don't, you get fined. So I'm not trying to get fined. So I'm just trying
For sure.
to blend in.
What about in the dorms? Like you said, it's a lot about camaraderie, getting to know your teammates, things like that. Are guys playing like video games? Are you
Oh, yeah.
guys doing like Catan back there? Like what's like the behind the scenes vibe?
A lot of Catan, a lot of guys playing EA college football.
Yep, I know. I've heard nothing about but that of
Yeah,
late.
it's a good time. A lot of guys are playing Blu-ray, sitting down, getting treatment, watching shows together. So it's a good vibe, man. I appreciate how the Buffalo Bills organization has always pushed the family-like atmosphere on us, and guys come in and just can't believe themselves or believe the situation. There's nothing like this in the league, in my opinion, and there's guys that'll say that too that have been into other places and come here, and it's a pretty cool feeling when someone says that about us.
Right. What about like, so one of the games, I don't know if you guys actually play Madden. You were on the cover of Madden last year, so I know that was a big deal for you. They released like the ratings, right? And I remember like a year or two ago, poor Reed Ferguson, Team West Tour guy, had an atrocious rating there, and he made a joke about it. But do you guys pay attention to that stuff, like even to give each other a hard time, or do you really just like not really do that at all? Like what?
Not really. Yeah, that's all I'll say about it.
Okay, we'll keep it there then. What about another thing too? I know like they release like the NFL top ratings and stuff, and so like I know Dion was on the list, you were on the list. Some of the guys, and same thing, just kind of don't really get into that. To even
Not really.
joke around
Again,
or
I think
anything.
it's a cool accomplishment to have, and give props to the guys that have made it on your team, because that's an accomplishment where it's based on other peers and
Yep.
players in this league that have respect for you. So that's pretty cool, but at the same time, it doesn't affect really anything that goes on the field.
Right. Being based in Rochester, I gotta ask: have you tried a garbage plate? Are you a garbage plate guy? Because like I have never tried a garbage plate, and I'll say visually they just look awful. So, but people love them. So, is it something you've tried before?
If I'm not mistaken, I've tried one, but it wasn't in Rochester.
Okay.
It was actually in Buffalo. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. But is that like where it's like
Just
tater
looks like
tots,
slop-
nacho
yeah,
cheese, a bunch of other
like,
stuff?
all
Yeah,
on the-
it's okay.
Okay.
You have a couple drinks throughout
So,
the night
yeah,
and you get
a
home,
certain
and it's
hankering
probably helps a little bit. But I'm trying to watch
Yeah.
the figure. So
There you go.
yeah.
Getting back into shape for the season. there.
Exactly.
So, what about actual? We know we talked a lot of not football stuff, but football related, like training camps. Obviously, a good time for some new faces, people to kind of show up and get to know them get to know you. Wide receivers specifically. What are your thoughts so far on kind of what you've seen from the guys?
Yeah, obviously Khalil's the only receiver that was on this roster last year that's back here. Obviously, we have a couple guys that are on practice squad. You talked about Justin Shorter, Terrell Shavers, and BT. But bringing in a guy like Curtis Mack, drafting Keon, MVS, Claypool, guys that have different skill sets, and a couple big guys that I haven't really played with, guys of that height and
Yep.
stature, and with the ability to do some of the things that they do. So it's a little bit of an adjustment period for sure, but I'm very happy with how hard the guys have worked. They put their heads down. It's a fun group to be around.
Yep.
Keon's he's a
gonna ask you.
jokester.
Yep.
Mac Hollins is an absolute
No
lunatic,
shoes.
psychopath
Yep.
in the best way.
Yep.
Curtis is awesome in that room too. So a lot of guys that haven't been appreciated in their time in the
Sure.
NFL so far, but hopefully we can get the best versions of them here in Buffalo, and I'm starting to see that already with some of these guys, and I'm very excited to see what they can do.
I know recently you were talking about Keon Coleman and just saying like how he's just a really interesting dude. Like I think you said he came over to your house and you had a chef there and he made a seafood dish. He wouldn't eat it and all that. So what do you think so far of just getting to know him as like a person, not just an athlete, but like an actual person? Like has that been, I'm assuming, a fun experience?
Oh, it's been super fun. You learn something new about him every day too. He's super country,
Yeah.
which I can relate to and I understand.
Sure.
He's still so young too. He's got a lot to learn. But the one extremely redeeming quality that he has, and he's got plenty of them, but he's authentic. Like he's always himself. Doesn't care what you think about him. He's going to say what's on his mind. He's going to continue doing that, and I respect that about him. And above all else, the way he presents himself and this and the funniness, attitude, and everything else. He loves football.
Sure.
And he's so smart, and his football IQ is off the charts. And I'm going to enjoy myself playing with him, hopefully for a lot of years to come.
So for you now that you've gotten kind of further along in your career, right? Like obviously you're the leader of the team and you're actually one of the veterans on the team. Does it ever feel odd? Because I was talking, I remember at the shoot to Dawson about how behind you and Dion, he's like the third longest active offensive player on the team. So the three of you are together the longest three. Does it feel weird each year you get new rookies kind of coming in and you're further and further from that, so you're kind of like helping mentor those guys? Do you ever like stop and think like, wow, like it's really been a while that now I've been playing in the NFL here?
Absolutely, and I'm going into year 7, which still seems crazy to me. And it's to that point where you kind of forget about some of the teammates that you've had in the past. It's like, oh, you played with so-and-so. I'm like, did I? You did?
Yeah.
Holy cow, I did play with that guy, And
Davis Webb, for instance, like
Right.
that's one of your, I think,
one of my good pals. But the fact that I played with Frank Gore Sr. and now I got Frank Gore Jr. on my team, which is crazy. That speaks more to Frank Gore Sr. than it does to anything else. The longevity and how long he was able to sustain and be playing at a high level in this league was pretty impressive to watch. I was such a big fan of him growing up. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's surreal.
Yeah. In terms of too, with some of the injuries you guys have had so far, just in camp and some of the early on, and I think in the secondary especially, that doesn't, I guess, from your perspective, is that something you guys just got to kind of like move on from and keep going? Because no one wants to suffer injuries, but I guess it's better to happen early on and give you time before you're playing games that actually count.
Yeah, and it's the risk when you put on the pads and play football. There's always that risk of potentially getting hurt, and in this league it's not if, it's when. At some point you're going to have an ailment that you're dealing with, and sometimes you're able to fight through it, sometimes there's nothing you can do and you're going to sit out. So we're a next man up team. That's how it's been since I've been here, and guys got to step up and do their job. And as much as we hurt and feel for the guys that have gotten hurt and can't practice, can't play, they'll be back. And got a lot of faith in our training room and how well that they can rehab our guys. It's a good group.
When you're back in front of the fans at the stadium, does that like get you even more hyped for the regular season? Because it's like that much closer, even though this is still kind of in the midst of training camp in the summer and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was, I think, 35,000 fans at the stadium last night for a practice. So people are excited. We're excited to go out there and play some real football. And next week our first preseason game against the Bears. I'm not sure playing time and all that jazz, but to get out there and see live bullets and live action and cheer on your teammates, it's one of my favorite things to do. Throughout the year, I get to see some guys that, this may be the last time that they ever play, and they're fighting for spots. And cut day is such a tough day for everyone around the league, and it's a very sad and unfortunate day that we can't keep everybody, and that's the way the business goes. But over the next 3 weeks, you're going to see guys put their heart, soul, and bodies on the line to compete and to try to get a spot.
I think we've talked about this in years past, but just in terms of the preseason, like as a competitor, I know you and like you'd like to be out there with your teammates playing, but as you said, it's an opportunity maybe for guys that don't get a chance to. So kind of how do you balance that throttle of like wanting to get live action reps, but also not wanting to risk injury and letting some other guys maybe show why they should be on the team?
Yeah, I think if you asked me this a couple of years ago, I'd have a different answer for you. But now going into year 7, not sure that the preseason reps are as necessary as they were at some point. Now again, having a new OC in Joe, him being the full-time offensive coordinator this year, I'm sure those reps wouldn't hurt.
Sure.
But at the same time, again, we got to figure out who's going to be on this team. And I think upstairs they need to see other guys get on the field and play, and not just at the quarterback position, but of all positions on the field. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out.
Something I heard you talk about recently in an interview, which I wanted to ask you, and then I heard it, and I was like, I got to ask him anyway, just in terms of some of these big quarterback contracts around the league. So Tua just signed his. Obviously, there was Jordan Love signed his. So some of these guys getting bigger contracts. So as that's just the nature of the business, guys sign, other people kind of move back. So what's your reaction when you see these kind of deals continue to grow? And like, it's, I guess at what point, because it just keeps going up. So I know you're going to be happy for him, but kind of what's your reaction when you see these bigger contracts keep getting signed?
I'm very happy for that. And guys getting paid and setting up their families for generations. I think that's such a cool thing for people to do. We play a very violent and brutal sport, and within the quarterback position, the market is the market right now, and there's really nothing that's going under that. So the NFL, obviously throughout my course of being in this game, it stands for not for long, right? Yeah. That's what a lot of people say. So you have to kind of strike when the iron's hot, and that's what you see going on right now. And when the time comes for me to get back up there and do that, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I'm very happy for the guys that are getting paid. I think it's helping everybody in the league, and again, more people are tuning in to watch the game of football, and the media deals are going crazy, which in turn help us get paid. And I don't play this game for the money. Sure. That's kind of a product of what I do, and but it does feel good to be rewarded and compensated for your work. And
one last thing I kind of want to ask you about was, I heard recently, like, John Elway made a comment about you, saying when he was a general manager, I think back in 2018 or whenever it was, that the biggest regret he had was not picking you at Denver, and kind of passing over you at the time. When you hear stuff like that, especially from someone like John Elway, does that like kind of register with you at all, or is it just kind of one of those things where your goal was to make everyone feel that way when you were drafted, type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't affect me one way or another. I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
But I golfed with him last year and this year, and I always go up to him and kind of jab him, like, hey, you remember when you didn't draft me? I know, I'm an idiot, and stuff like that. But I got a lot of respect for him. He's been nothing but great to me every time I've interacted with him, and obviously the player that he was when he was playing was one of the, if not the best to play. So I got a lot of respect for him, and to now have a relationship, if you will. Yeah. Maybe it's only centered around the game of golf, but sure. Him and his son was on his bag last year. I had my dad on my bag, so it was really cool to sit there and talk and share stories, and again, nothing but respect for him.
All right, last question I have for you. So I think I know the answer, but who is the favorite person ever that you've had a chance to golf with, and who's the one person that you haven't golfed with that you would love that opportunity to?
Yeah, Tiger.
I knew that.
Tiger's number one.
Yep.
I've said enough about him. I can't say enough about him, but I've already said.
I think your reaction on camera said it all when you met him that time. So.
And then a guy that I would like to golf with that I haven't yet. I think Bryson.
Yeah. Bryson.
I think, obviously the U.S. Open wins. He's from a very similar area that I'm from, near Fresno. And I got to golf this last year with a lot of guys. I golfed with JT. I golfed with Spieth. I golfed with Xander, who I'm so happy to see him on a tear. And he's leading the Olympics right now. So got to have another strong round tomorrow and bring another gold back for us. But Keith Mitchell's one of my good pals. I love playing with him. It's weird that I'm sitting in a spot now and I can feel like I can rattle off some guys that are, big pros in their respective sports, and feel like I can golf with them and hang out with them. I'm still a kid at heart, and It's pretty cool for me.
Yeah. As a competitor, I know I said last question, but the real last question. Olympics, like, do you watch it? Do you
Oh, yeah.
get into it? Are you like rooting hard for it, or is it more passive consumption? Kind of. How is
I've
it?
got a lot of pride for the USA, and anytime we've got an athlete competing, I'm on the edge of my seat screaming and trying to will them to victory too. So it's I think that's the coolest thing, is to compete for your country and to stand up on that podium while your national anthem's playing, and put a gold around your neck.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, thanks for taking the
Thank you,
time
Brad.
today. I know
Appreciate
you're backstage here. You guys can hear the national anthem. We're truly backstage. Make sure you stay tuned for our full podcast with Josh Allen coming soon. Don't miss that. But Josh, thanks for joining us. I'm Brad Gelber. Stay tuned.